Ladies and gents, there always comes a time when we have to say goodbye to certain things, be it good or bad, be it people, be it things, be it TV shows, be it games, be it companies, be it a famous and more favorite product that we have used to having. And as the end of the year 2025 approaches, we now have to say goodbye, in my opinion, to something very big that has been with us for a long time. It has warmed our hearts during a lot of those times, but recently it has only and obsessively led us to disappointment after disappointment. I am talking, of course, about the AAA gaming industry. Greetings, ladies and gents, my name is Hilso, the bearded Balkan blabbermouth, and I am DiscussThing, and today we will be talking about the AAA gaming industry going into oblivion. Now, before we start, I want to say something. This is purely my opinion. I'm not stating any concrete facts, any financial records, or anything that suggests that there is an official report that the AAA gaming industry is going away. However, based on purely observational, I think that the gaming community is pretty much done with AAA, and they're moving to actual games that are coming out, that are created with gamers in mind, and that are created in the pursuit of providing you entertainment. Something that AAA sadly hasn't been doing for quite a while. And it's one thing and I do think it's safe to say that AAA gaming has really fell off in recent years. They have turned towards providing you with activism instead of escapism. They have tried and failed to provide you with real life issues and propaganda to a gaming audience that has no other intention than escaping from those things that are connected to the real world and immerse themselves with something that is not of this world, where they can be the heroes, they can experience new and exciting things that are unburdened by the political bias, by the propaganda, by narratives, by anyone and anything that is trying to push a certain agenda. They have failed, ladies and gents. They have failed tremendously. However, it is not hopeless, because as they fail, smaller studios, AA, indie studios, they have managed to fill that gap in a way that I don't think anyone actually managed to predict. And to be absolutely clear, this fall does not come from disgruntled community or from people just being hateful towards the AAA gaming community. No, this is a follow-up to what the AAA gaming community is actually doing to itself, and I'm going to show you the most recent example of this, and this comes from none other than Bethesda. This is posted by Daka, who says, "Done with the company, I will never buy any product from them again. Lifelong fan. I ran Skyrim midnight launch where we sold 250 legendary editions. I was an ambassador who got access to every launch game early." They deleted this tweet, by the way, and this is a very famous now tweet of an Indiana Jones game with Indiana Jones petting a cat and saying, "You don't care much about fascists, do you?" And now you can take this image and the video that is attached to it out of context very easily, because this is a game that I think went out quite a bit ago already, and this is entirely because of the time period that it was set in, which is totally fine. However, this same thing was posted only a couple of days after none other than Charlie Kirk was murdered. He was assassinated by a leftist cultist nut job that apparently decided this is the only viable way to battle the opposition. And whatever your thoughts are on Charlie Kirk and what he did, whatever side you're on, you should know that if by some reason you know someone who thinks that this is unacceptable behavior, then you know that you're probably dealing with something who is not mentally well. And Bethesda is posting this a few days ago, and then they delete the tweet, and the post that said it sadly no longer exists is called Good Kitty. They deleted it just a couple of hours later, which leads me to believe that there has been some form of an attempt to do damage control by someone who had a little bit of sense in their head, but it was too late. It was posted, reposted, it is everywhere, and it is being talked about. And this is from a AAA gaming studio who allowed something like this to happen. But this is not the only example in recent years. We have here Drew punching Nazis till die, who was, and I emphasize on was, a senior developer for Sucker Punch, who are developing the Ghost of Yote game, which is a continuation of the Ghost of Tsushima game, a release that probably won't receive any attention at all, or if it will, it's going to be very, very negative. This is the person, and I am saying a person because I really don't know what this person is, was speaking openly against Charlie Cook and was actually making out of context jokes, and I put jokes in heavy quotations because I don't believe it was jokes, and following a very, very silent firing from Sucker Punch, said, if standing up against fascism is what cost me my dream job I held for 10 years, I will do it again 100 times stronger. And when we go to the main page of Sucker Punch Productions on X, we would see that there is no mention of this firing, there is no stance made by them, there is no public comment made by the company condemning this sort of thing, because when you celebrate the death of someone, you're criminally mentally unwell, in my opinion. But this has not been addressed. It was a quiet fire trying to do the ostrich maneuver, bury their heads in the ground and hope that everything will pass. And these are just two examples out of why the gaming industry, the AAA gaming industry, is falling apart, because for years with escalating intensity they have championed propaganda, narrative building, they have championed replacement of history like Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Shadows, they have championed things that are not based in the gaming community, they have championed trans ideology in a fantasy game like BioWare with Dragon Age the Veilguard, which is not a game, it is a propaganda piece cladded in a thinly veiled gaming cloak. And they have not addressed any of the gaming community's complaints towards that. They have not moved an inch, or if they tried, they moved in the wrong direction. This has been a year, ladies and gents, that everything was shown, because all of the games, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Dragon Age the Veilguard, Dustborn, which I would also count as a piece towards AAA gaming because it was heavily funded and it was heavily propagated towards being a major game in 2025, all of them have failed. Instead of them, we have had more. And you need to look no further if you want to have a concrete evidence of that happening when you check Ubisoft Entertainment SA's stocks. And I'm showcasing a live version of the stocks for today, which are indeed falling once again by 2% only for today. Things are not getting better when you go further down the line. For 5 days, they have had 3.13% of a drop. In a month, they have had 8.73% drop. At 6 months ago, which is when the games kind of released in that time period, 37.40%. When we go to the year to date, we have 34.99%. And if we go back a full year, it is a 26% with a few surges. And when we go to the 5 year, we get the really good number, which is 88.49% of a drop. No matter how big of a company you are, when you have an 88% drop in a 5 year span, that means that you're just kicking it on your last dying breaths. And I mean seriously, Ubisoft used to be one of the biggest companies in terms of sales, in terms of satisfaction when they released the game. It used to present really quality games, even though they did have some shady practices, but they provided the escapism that everyone needed. Same with BioWare, same with Blizzard, who were in full panic mode, who have continuously failed to uphold any gamer standard for years now. They have released several shorts and several cinematics for the latest World of Warcraft patches, who were just abhorrent because they were made by very, very untalented people who should not be there. And we have had failure after failure of the huge gaming industry. However, it's not as bad as anyone seems, because we have new games. We have other games that are doing essentially the gaming lord's work. And I'm going to showcase two of them that I think are enough, because they both released this year. We're starting with the most recent release, which is the continuation of Hollow Knight. This is Silksong. This is a game that has been in development for many, many years. There were very little peeps, and when several weeks ago they announced that they're going to be releasing the game on September the 4th, this is what the result is. 587 people, concurrent players peak, almost 4 million copies sold already by Gamealytic, and that number may very well be higher, and an overall 80% satisfaction. And the 80% is because there were some issues with the translation to Chinese customers. This is a game that costs $20, by the way, which is a 2D platformer from a studio that had another game before that, which also became a massive, massive hit. And now, years later, we have this game, and it is absolutely crushing it. It crashed the Steam store, it crashed several other stores. It is an absolute fun game, and because it was made by a dedicated team, it is actually being eaten like warm bread. I've been playing it as well, and I'm having the time of my life. It is an amazing game. It is fleshed out extremely well with very memorable parts, even from the beginning of the game, and you just feel so immersed. And as for the other edition, I want to present you my personal pick of the game of the year, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now, the numbers are incomparable with Silksong, but in my opinion, this is only because the game is a new release, and it is basically the first game from a small studio that hasn't had anything else before that. But this game took the whole world by surprise. It is an absolute masterpiece in every sense of the word. It costs $50, and the loosely reported and speculated budget is around $30 million to develop, which is 10 times or even more less than Assassin's Creed Shadows. This game has everything. It has story, it has an amazing gameplay, it has an amazing character, voice actors, it has an absolute banger of a music, which is one of the best game musics that I have ever heard, going even further to transcend only the gaming community and go on concerts currently internationally in Europe and possibly on a world tour. It has spawned cosplays, it has spawned so many things, and people are playing and replaying it. I'm one of those people, and this game just took everything by a storm. This is a game from a studio. This is the first game of the studio right out of the blue, and just blew everything apart. It has sold, and I will show you, 4.4 million copies in sale. This is from Pirate Nation, and he's reposting Game Reactor UK post quietly tops 4.4 million in sales. No matter how you look at that, this is an absolute bagger of achievement. Both of the games that I just showcased absolutely destroyed the AAA gaming releases this year by a margin of at least 10. They have dominated the market, they have dominated the hearts and minds of the gaming community, and they have absolutely destroyed all the narrative that only AAA gaming studios can make good games. This is what I'm talking about. From the ashes of the AAA gaming community that are slowly but surely piling up because it is burning away new games, small games like Expedition 33, like Hollow Knight, like Split Fiction. All of these games have one thing that AAA no longer possesses, and that is an adherence to their audience. The will and the desire to provide a good product, a fun thing, so many people can enjoy it for a long time, so they can return to it, so they can buy it for their friends, and so they can continue to be fans of the franchise and of the company. That is something that AAA has woefully lost, and that is something that they will probably never return, because they're way too big, they're way too clumsy, and they're way too slow to change with the times. That's why it is now time for the smaller developers, for the indie, for the AA, for the single A, for every passionate developer out there who wants to make it. That's what they're going to do, and that's why they're going to succeed. They're going to dominate next year, I'm absolutely sure, And I think that games like Expedition 33, like Silksong, like Split Fiction, they're going to dominate the game awards this year as well, because these games actually made bank, they actually have positive reviews, and they have won the hearts and minds of gamers. And I'm not talking about the Game Awards as that show, but I'm talking about the real Game Awards that is hosted by Side Scrollers, that I think is a much more honest show. We are due to a positive change in the gaming community. There has been too much bad stuff coming out, both from the gaming world and the real world, and I think we are well past due having something positive happen and a positive overall change to take over and to bring us back to a very good age that appeared to be long lost before. I'm hoping that this will continue and that this trend will also continue into the next year, and I hope that we are going to see some exciting new and returning games finally, and providing our excitement to the max. But anyways, that's all I have for this video today. Thank you very much for watching. If you did, press that like button, press the subscribe button if you enjoy my content, and if you want to support the channel directly and also support the feeding and care of homeless animals and animals in shelters, press the join button and become a DiscussThing Guild member. My name is Helzo. This was DiscussThing. Follow me on my socials, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers and stay fresh.